Well, what's up, warriors? I am so grateful and honored to be here with you for this Recovery Soul Food Saturday Night Live. I am just over the moon with tonight's guest. You all absolutely know this amazing mom, this amazing human being. She is Kim Bellis from Sober is the New Cool. Now, Kim and I have a lot in common. Both of our journeys started in out of the need to not be a hypocrite, which is amazing. It's been an amazing journey of healing for Kim as well as for me. And we were talking before we came on and just, wondered how we had missed each other throughout these years of being on the same platforms. And, there are no mistakes. This is the perfect time for us to be together. And I'm so grateful and honored to bring her, to the Recovery Soul Food platform. So let's do a little bit of housekeeping so I don't take up too much time so we can get into this with Kim Bellis, as Sober is the New Cool. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, first of all, thank you. I ask that if this content resonates with you at all, that you would please like the video, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what actually resonated with you. And, let us know what you are looking for. This season is going to be filled with amazing guests, but also in between guests, I'm going to come back with live videos to talk about different topics. One of the biggest ones we're going to talk about is how to stop worrying. It sounds a lot easier than it is, but I can give you some tools that can help you stop worrying today. So that's going to be coming up next week. Remember, support us. We are available to be heard on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor.fm/Recovery Soul Food. And it would be really, really awesome if you could support our podcast on those platforms as well, especially if you like the content, to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. It just helps our content get out more and more and more. Okay, so I am so tired of all the housekeeping. I'm super ready to get into this conversation with Kim Bellis from Sober is the New Cool. If you guys are ready, I am ready. So let's go. Welcome, 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 Kim Bellis. Sober is the New Cool, the most awesomest mom in the whole recovery community. Welcome
Well,
to Recovery Soul
thank
Food.
you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so, so excited to have you here with me. And I'm so grateful that you said yes and that we're making this connection now. Kim, you have an amazing story, and I love it so much because you were the only person I'd ever heard that started your journey because you didn't want to be a hypocrite to your son. And so, most people that are watch this know who you are and know your story. But for the few that don't, can you give us a little bit about how you came to this journey and why?
So in 2013, my son Matthew developed epilepsy.
Mm.
After we got diagnosed that yes, and he had epilepsy, he would be on medication. And then, the medication started to work. I said, you got to get back out seeing your friends because he was an avid football player. He was
Oh,
out with
wow.
his buddies 5 nights a week playing football, and that went like that. So
Mm.
one thing led to another. I'd bring him to a friend's house. 20 minutes would go by. Call me, come and get me. So after the third time, I went downstairs and I said, "Listen, honey, what's going on? It just doesn't make sense. You don't need booze to have fun. Because he said, Mom, everybody's drinking, everybody's smoking pot, everybody's doing this. I just don't fit in."
Mm.
And as I said to him, no, 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 you don't need that. I had this huge glass of red wine in my hand, and I thought,
Oh,
oh my
wow.
God, what a
Wow.
hypocrite. What a hypocrite. Like it just,
Wow.
so it was like a truck hit me. And I thought at that moment, I said, okay, Matt, I'm going to stop drinking for 3 months. And honestly, that was it. It was 3 months. That was the deal. 3 months came and went. And he said, see, now you could be like everybody else, Mom. And I said,
Mm.
wait a minute here. So I said, okay, I'll do another 3 months. And it'll be 9 years, January 12th, that I have not had another drink. And quite
Outstanding.
honestly, I mean, I did realize with time that, alcohol had not been my friend. So
Mm.
him being sick gave me the biggest gift I've ever gotten and reinvent myself at 52.
Outstanding, outstanding. That's just another reason why I really love you, because I began my transition. My life really changed at 44, and there's this tendency to think, when you get to certain ages, that that you can't reinvent yourself, and that's just not true. I think each day, each year, when we are moving towards our greatest life, and always trying to get the best from ourselves, that we just continue to evolve. And 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 I love your story. I love that you had that instantaneous, that life change, that realization. I think those are the funnest parts of learning and loving and living, are those moments that seem to knock you back. That hypocrisy, you know, is a big one. It's a big one in everything we seem to do, in living a recovery lifestyle, and living a on a recovery journey. I think hypocrisy becomes one of the greatest teaching tools, in all honesty, if we're willing to realize it. And the awareness is the key. That's what turned the light on, is the awareness of that. So, you had talked about the 3 months, and to the 6 months, and now coming up on 9 years this month. What was some of the process when you were doing this and you began your healing journey? What did your process look like? What were some of your resources, influences? Who did you listen to, or what exercises did you do, journaling, or tell me about the processes through there.
Well, the first thing I did was um, I stayed away from restaurants for, I would say, the
Mm,
first year. That was just this restaurant, sushi was with rosé. This restaurant was red wine and pizza. So there was just none of that. That had to
awesome.
go. I stayed very, very quiet. I
Mm,
did go and get hypnotized
mm,
years back for smoking. So I thought, you know what, just to take the edge off, because I mean, I loved my wine, and I'm not going to deny that. I loved it. And so I just figured, every diet I did, I always say, can I have wine on it? So I knew I had a little bit of an issue, right? Let's
yeah.
call a spade a spade. So I knew I had to be careful. So I thought, well, if it worked for cigarettes, maybe it'll just, take that edge off with the booze. And I have to say, I think it did help, but I think
Beautiful.
mentally, I was doing it for my son. I loved my son more than myself and or
Mm,
liquor or anything else. So
yes.
that the first year was like that. Then I started to exercise. I started to feel better. At the beginning, I couldn't find anything that was really like online. I live in Montreal, Canada, and so there's a lot of French people also. So there
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of stuff in French, and I am half French, but my mother, I speak English much better. So
All right.
I wanted to find more English content, and it was a bit hard. I found Hello Sunday Morning,
Mm,
and that was huge. It's out of Australia. The gentleman had started out of Australia, and every Sunday morning, I would journal how my week had gone. And it was
wonderful.
nobody's ever seen, I would say, the 18 months, that the first 18 months of it, because then they switched, they changed their app and whatever. And then it just didn't work as well for me. And except my younger brother, at one point, I shared it with him, just for different reasons, and to give him my insight and what I was going through in my life at that time.
Beautiful.
And I have to say, that was healing, writing down and not knowing anybody, right? So you could write
Yeah.
just about anything and not feel judged. So that was
Yes.
year one. And
Beautiful.
then it just continued, and I have to
Beautiful.
say, until year 6, I mean, Matthew also had some ups and downs with the epilepsy and the grand mal seizures, like getting better
Mm,
and then not getting better and starting over and having seizures. So life was, and, let's face it, how could he not be depressed? A 13,
yeah.
14, 15-year-old can't ride a
Gosh.
bike, can't play football, can't do anything. I mean, so we were in therapy. We did a lot of therapy, which was
Beautiful.
huge, right?
Beautiful.
And till year 6, when we was the first summer my husband and I left, we rented a home an hour and 15 minutes away from where we live. We didn't go very far, but far enough.
Yep.
On that summer, I have to tell you, I could have jumped on every drink at every place I saw, because I had no control over my son, no control of watching him from the minute he woke up, and knowing he was 5 minutes away. And that summer was, I would have to say, the hardest part of this whole journey. Having to let go and giving him the confidence that he could make it without me hovering,
Wow. Wow.
right?
I love that you're talking about how life was not perfect, because that's one of the things. I think sometimes that's the evil that happens. So, when we're in active addiction and life is really bad, when you're at that down and out place, you have this tendency to think that what's tangible as your problem are the drugs or the alcohol. And you think in your mind, if I get rid of this, then my life's going to be better. And it often leads people into an early relapse because they put that stuff away. They're white knuckling through just trying to stay untriggered, but it's not going that well. I mean, all of a sudden, life really begins to just fall apart. It begins to be life, and now you don't have your coping mechanism. And that's really all it is. And so I love that we're talking about this, because this is the lie that needs to be exposed. What's in the drinking or the alcohol or the drugs or the habits or whatever one is addicted to or recovering from is just a byproduct of deeper issues. And we talk about recovery is different than just being clean and sober, because recovery is healing the roots. And, you know, it was also my first year. Our stories we've talked about coincide so much, because I didn't want to my son was coming up to be 13, 14 years old. I was in a relapse, but even though I had some clean time before, I didn't have recovery time. So his life was still very chaotic. He was still being raised by both his mom and I were both, addicts, clean addicts. And so we still had all the addiction chaos. And so he was still being raised there. But here he was, 13, 14 years old. I said, how can I look at my son and say, don't do drugs, don't smoke weed, don't drink alcohol? You're not going to be like everybody else. You might turn out like us, and keep doing it. I could not do it. And my love for my son was bigger for the first time ever in my life, was bigger because he was my stepson. He's my stepson.
Okay.
And so he'd been with me since he was 4. So I said, I got to give him a better life. So in that first year, my wife relapsed. So we got clean together. And then my wife had a full on heroin relapse in that first year of recovery. And I thought, Kim, I literally thought, what's happening? Like, I thought everything was supposed to get better. And I knew in that moment it wasn't going to work if I didn't get to heal in these roots that kept me running back. And so I remember those moments when I hit my knees, just trying to hang on to the bedpost, not to go use. So I'm so grateful that you shared that part of your story, because it's not promised to be easy.
No, and one of the things that I do when I get contacted by just about anybody is I do this I am exercise.
Mm,
And I send them a word in the morning, because I did it with my kids years back when this all started with Matthew and Jeff. and it's one word and only one word, and it has to be positive. And I send them by internet or like text message or however. In the house, I suggest people put them in the bathroom so people go
Yes.
to wake up with it and go to sleep with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start to remember all of a sudden all the qualities they forgot they had, because part of the healing also is rebuilding the self-esteem. I
Mm.
never thought I was enough. I always thought my friends are doctors, lawyers, accountants, this, that. And I thought, you know what? It took me till I was 60 years old to say I am enough and really mean it. And I thought, I cannot let the world continue. If I can help one person, one word at a time, I am going to do this, because everybody deserves to feel like they're enough.
Everybody. Yes, they
Everybody.
do. Yes, they do. And that's the most, oh, that's just the most beautiful idea. I cannot believe how alike our stories are. I would place I am enough on my mirror every day, because how, and it doesn't it take time for you to
Yeah,
really realize it. It's not overnight.
no.
Don't you feel like a hypocrite when you're first saying it?
Absolutely. And even when I do it with people, I use words that are like, funny or sporty, like words that they can think, okay, okay, she's whatever. And then as we get deeper and deeper, then they realize, like one, my sweet Kelly Marie, she is a nurse in Philadelphia. Hi, Kelly, and hello, Elaine, to her sweet partner.
Beautiful.
She, when I started with her, one of the first words she came up with, because I'll do it a little bit and then I ask them to send me a word. So she wrote,
Beautiful.
I am hardworking. And I wrote back, no, you are dedicated. And there's a
Mm,
huge shift when you say those
yes,
two words. It says the same thing,
you're
but
right.
she's a nurse and during COVID, and she's, recovering. And so she is dedicated, and she's the sweetest. And her partner Elaine are fantastic women. They're beautiful human
Beautiful.
beings. And we do it. And, now we don't do it quite as much because they're like happy and she's settled. And then, whoops, all of a sudden I think about her and I think, okay. And I send her a little word. She goes, how'd you know I needed that today? So it's all about, I really believe, I have my sweet Natty, aka Sober Badger. You must follow her.
I will.
Her and I. Um, so one, I've known her since 2017, and she asked me to do a tattoo with her.
Beautiful.
And it's the infinity sign, because I used to always say to my kids when they were little, I love you, infinity plus one.
Oh, I
She
love
loves pink and I love white. So we have two hearts with this. She was in London, England. I was here in Montreal. We did it via WhatsApp
love
together,
it.
and we have our tattoos. And
Love it.
I have to tell you, one thing I always thought, I have two beautiful boys and I'm so happy, but I always wanted a daughter. And now I feel I have daughters all over the world. And it's, they fill my heart with love. And had not all this happened, I would never, and I have to tell you, actually, I spoke with my little Kelly Marie because I was a bit nervous about talking with you, because I didn't want to say anything uh, not right, that would make
No,
anybody feel bad. And
I
I read
understand.
up about trans, and I know about,
I love you.
lesbians and
I love you.
homosexuals and whatever. And so I sent her a message. I said, I'm getting a bit like, I'm reading all this stuff and there's all this different, somebody says this, somebody says that. What do I say? What don't I say? And she laughed. She laughed just like you. And she said, oh, Kim, And then she said, you're the most loving
I
person.
know.
And she said, I said, you're right. For me, the least everybody deserves is to love and be loved. I don't
Yes.
care. I don't care. The rest of it,
Yes.
don't give me a label. I don't care. I don't care.
Right.
You're just,
Right.
your eyes and your smile is what I need to see?
That's so true. Gosh, and I love that. And you remind me so much of my friend Pamela Topchian, who does the Transgender Mentor podcast with me on Sunday nights. And she felt the same way, with so much I want to just love the world, and I want to be an ally, and And I want to stand here for the women that are my age that want to be an ally, but we don't know what to say, or we don't want to
Exact.
hurt anyone.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
And
it's amazing.
and because there's it's it's such a I think with addiction also, that's hard enough to deal with. And then I've met so many young women that when they came out and told their families, they were lesbian or whatever they, had chosen to be in their life, the trauma that they had to go through and
Oh,
feeling like they would never be accepted and whatever.
yes.
And I don't want anyone to have to feel like that, because our kids, I find, are so much more open and accepting
Yes.
to religion, to no matter what if you're
Yes.
tall, you're skinny, you're this, you're that, like they just love, I
Yes.
think
Yes.
better than we do.
Oh yes. Oh yes. There's this, the labels seem to be becoming broken. These younger people now are saying, wait a minute, all these labels limit us, and we feel so much more than this one label. It's why
Mhm.
I have such a respect and a love for the non-binary community, because they stand up and say, no labels.
No.
I won't accept the limits that comes with this label. And I feel so much that the addiction is a disease of self-hatred. It's a
Yes.
disease of shame, and it is a disease of hopelessness. And I feel that my mission, just because of where I've come from, being a person that had no hope and prayed for death on a daily basis, just just by living in a body that was foreign to me and having no hope that I would ever get to know who I truly was, and the rejection and the trauma and the world, and so that, just coming back from that, means that I got to give that out. Like, hope will
Yeah.
save your life. Hope will save your life. Hope for a better tomorrow. Hope for a better you tomorrow. Hope for a better world tomorrow, just by us loving. Because as we love, we sprinkle that out, it becomes
Absolutely.
infectious. And I'm just so grateful that you are a safe space for so many different human beings to come to and to find healing, because that trauma stops many people from reaching out because they're never sure. And
Yes.
so thank you for being such an ally.
Well,
It's so wonderful.
to me, I guess maybe it's because I'm a mom too, right? And I think the fact that I am 60 years old, or just, sorry, 61 as of last week,
Happy
I think that
birthday.
they don't feel like I'm, not in competition with them, but like they feel like they don't feel like I'm going to judge them, because I am kind of like that mom figure,
Yeah.
and friend at the same time. And I understand, and for me, they know when I say I will not drink today, I will not drink tomorrow, I'll never drink again. It's just not an option for me. I will not lose everything that I have now and this precious universe that I seem to have created. and
Yes.
and I am blessed with every day, because every day somebody sends me a message, and I think, how lucky am I that they think enough of me to share their fears or their hopes or their dreams. I mean, that's huge. Like,
Beautiful.
right?
It is. It is. I mean, it really, really is. It never ceases to amaze me, because, like we talked a little bit before, some days you just feel like, is this even making a difference?
Yeah.
And it's like that question goes out, and then all of a sudden someone, comes back, comes in and goes, some, oh yes. And you're like, okay, thank you,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you, because I just love giving back to people. And I guess that always answers the question of what's your mission is, you've basically described it. But if you had to put, one statement on it, then what would you say sober is the new cool and Kim Bellis's mission is? Are they different? Are they the same?
I think they're the same now. I think the one thing I would love to see in every um, hospital or mental health, um, they call them psych wards. I hate that
Hmm.
word because it's so 1950s. I just,
Right.
I would love to see the I am poster in every language, because if someone could walk by and see a word that could like think, oh, maybe I'm not so hopeless. Maybe I'm not so useless. Maybe I do. Yes, I am like this. And
Yes.
slowly rebuild and give them the hope and know that they are loved and they are worthy of being in this world, because there is so much stigma with this mental health. Everybody says, oh, mental health, we're going to give money, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Well, you know what? If everybody took the time, one person with another person every single day, to really check in, do a tattoo. Listen, I was not a tattoo girl. I was ribbon and bows, and I had a tattoo done in 60. So, you know what? Like, I mean, just do whatever, because if that's what it takes for someone to feel that they matter
Mm,
and they're part of your world, so be it. Just, and I
beautiful.
think everyone would, I get the biggest joy out of what I do, because when I see them happy, if I see them sad, if they have a relapse, I don't care. You know what? We'll get through it.
Right.
Nothing is perfect. Not there's some good days and there's bad days, and some are doing beautifully and others not so well, and I'll keep working and I'll keep sending my messages, and in hope that they do get better. And I really
That's
do think they will. It's just a
yeah.
matter of time.
That's right. That's right. And it's the belief that makes it so. There's no judgment in so many people are so used to being judged when you have the relapse, that the shame, and we lose people when that relapse comes, because the shame sets in
Yeah.
automatically. And then they say, well, I've ruined it all. I've wasted everything. And now, I don't want to face up to this. And just knowing that someone, is there to say, I don't. It just reminds me, we talked about our beautiful friend Martin John Garcia,
Yes,
one
yes.
of the most beautiful and most gifted humans on the earth. He says the same thing. I don't care. I don't
No.
care about that. Because it's not necessarily the abstinence that we're going for. It's the healing, because then the rest of that won't be a part of your life once you heal that root, once you heal that heart. That won't even be, you won't have to fight that for the rest of your life. That was one of the things when I began a recovery journey, was I don't want to always be laying in wait for relapse. Like, if I can't do this thing where relapse is no longer an option, I'm just not going to do it. I got to make a choice here. Either I leave here tonight and spend the rest of my days out on the street, or I do it this way and I really heal. And I love that, that more people need to get the message that you and Martin John and myself give to the world, which is, I don't care what shame you're bringing. Let's work on eradicating the shame. Let's work on, integrating the shame
And the
and
other
loving
thing
yourself.
too, they're going to give. Oops, I know for a fact that they are going to give back to
Oh yeah.
so many more, because, like, I've told some people, listen, I'm on my way out. I'm like 60 plus now. So, like, I'm not just quite yet, but like, they're the future. These young
Yes.
Kellys and my sweet Natty and all these people that are
Yes.
young, they're the future, and they're the ones that can help make a world better for everybody else. And you
Yes.
know what? For others to know they're not alone, that they made a mistake. So what? They got through it. They're working on it. They're going to get better. Nobody's life
Yes.
is perfect.
No.
Everybody's got some shit somewhere, right?
I
Sorry,
love it.
but
I love,
like
no,
that's
that's my
that's the
favorite.
that's the reality.
It
So,
is.
and I really believe that what we're doing now is setting up others to do what we're doing.
Yes. Yes. Without a doubt. Change the way the world recovers.
Yeah.
That's been the whole mission. Let's change the way the world recovers. What was in place, 10, 15, 20 years ago was for that time. Now we have to move to a different time in recovery because that's no longer working. It's like something that you said earlier when you were talking about the phases. You were saying, I did this for this time, but it didn't work for me later. So I just started doing something else, you know?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't mean I failed and stopped doing that because I failed at doing it. It meant that I outgrew that. And so
that
now I'm going to do something else. And that's where we are now. You know, we
and
don't
people
have to
have
fight to hang on.
no, and the other thing, people are afraid to say they don't drink anymore. Like
Mm,
our age group, 40 plus, I find there's this
yep.
huge, and it happened during the holidays where somebody in my immediate surroundings decided to say they were 70 days sober. Well, the
Wow.
young kids in the room, and I'm talking about the millennials, they
Mm,
all were like high-fiving and saying, God, you're going to be so much better. You're going to see that brain fog. And the stuff that was coming out, it was like boom, 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 boom. It was
beautiful.
like on steroids, happiness on
Beautiful.
steroids. And I thought, everybody's got to know that they don't have to make an excuse why they don't drink. I
Yeah.
don't drink. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all, right? Because
Yes.
when I started
Absolutely.
Sober is the New Cool, almost 10 years ago, everybody said, Are you kidding me? You can't say sober and cool in the same sentence. You just can't do it. So, miracles
I
happen,
love
I
it.
guess.
I love it. I love it. And that's I just love that. So I guess that just brings to the next question I wanted to ask you. What's your philosophy now versus your old perception? Say when you did used to love your wine, what is your new philosophy now versus that old perception?
Well, I'm definitely into a better phase of just being mindful. I
Mm,
try things where, I do meditation, I run, I exercise more. I'll, one of my sons, my older son, is very health conscious. He, and before I would be like, oh, no, 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 I don't need that. I'm much more open to anything and everything right now. I think that I also am not afraid to tell you that, like before, how nervous I was and how anxious I got. And I called somebody to check in and see, how do I do this and what do I say? What don't I say? And before I would have been afraid to admit that I was afraid or scared or
beautiful.
ask questions. If I didn't understand something, I would pretend like I understood.
Yes.
Now I know if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. And I don't have a problem saying it, right? Because I have to learn. I have to
Yeah.
learn. The world is changing and it's fast.
Yeah.
And, so much is happening around us that I really think that had I not um, stopped drinking. My older son, when he was 21, was one of the points in my life I wasn't drinking. At that point, being in New York City celebrating, I would have gone to brunch with champagne and blah, 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 right? Instead, I went and ran in Central Park for the first time.
Amazing.
So there was a shift. And I think that as I'm going, I'm just finding new things and I'm trying to find new ways to relate to people and, reach out. And, I've taught myself all this stuff on Instagram, which now I have a young girl that helps me, Nicole. Thank God for her. She's a little blessing. And, and quite honestly, I mean, I guess I'm happy for much happier than I've ever been in my life. And I'm not that I've had a bad life. I think, I've had a pretty good life. I mean, considering, but I'm in a much happier place now.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I love that. I love the that you speak about vulnerability because that's what that really is, that vulnerability. Our ego stands guard, at that vulnerability, that moment that you say, I don't really know all that I think I know here. And, you move ego out of the way and just be vulnerable. I think that's when you can be beautifully close to another human being, no matter whether they're a stranger that you're just meeting or, that's why people get on to me all the time. They say, "You ask too many personal questions. Why do you ask them personal questions?" I want to know people, like I don't want to just have a surface relationship. I want to
No.
know you. I want to know. I'm interested in you. And so I love that. I love that part of your story, that being able to be vulnerable and learn and be open to things, because that is the beautiful part of being in the year 8 almost 9 journey, is that ability to just be and to be happy. And it takes a while to get here. And that's what I really want to ask you about, is how is year, I guess, year 8/9 different than years 1, say 3 and 5, these milestones? Do you remember any big moments in those years? You already spoke about the year 1, which it
Yeah.
was
And
amazing.
I just think it was a hard time.
Hmm.
I feel that in those days, year 3 and 5, and I felt like I always had to explain why I
Mm,
don't drink.
mm.
And people would say, okay, we got it, we got it. Just come over here. No one's going to know. You could have a little drink with us over here. And then it was like, okay, she's doing it for her son. And then I'd say, well, no, honestly, it was, maybe I was drinking too much. And then I thought, why do I have to explain? I don't want white wine. I don't want red wine. I don't want a martini. No, I just don't want any. And I was explaining every single time I went somewhere. And, so I would think I was uncomfortable in many situations. And my communication was, I thought, so grand on liquid courage. And I found that now I've got a much better way to communicate without any of that. So I'm about, yeah.
I love
I
that.
think booze makes you think you're pretty, you're
Yeah.
smart, you could dance so well, you could do so many things, right? Well,
Right.
I think I'm a little better off now, quite honestly. And I'm not shy. I'm not shy to, um, whenever the occasions arise where people are drinking, I don't have that sense anymore of feeling like I have to explain. If someone's toasting, I'll say, hey, wait a minute, I don't have my water or my Perrier or whatever. Wait a second, I want to do this too. And
Awesome.
like, no shame, no shame, no.
Doesn't it? And that, just having that confidence in knowing who you are and what's best for you, it almost takes the explanation for people out of it. It almost, it seems like when we feel like we have to explain, we're still kind of shaky within us. And then we get to that place. You're right. Because I'd say, this past year has really been that place where I've sat down at home in my skin and said, oh, wait, this is who I am. Like, I don't have to explain this. I don't have to tell people why. I don't need them to understand it, especially when we talk about transitioning genders. I don't need people to understand. I need their respect, and I deserve that as a human being. But as far as needing them to understand or hear my side or hear why, I don't really need that. And I find now that I'm not necessarily approached as often with questions of that I would have to make someone understand. Do you find that in your social circles now that people don't even really ask?
No, and the other thing too, I find that now people are 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 like kind of like, wow, I could do dry January. I could do sober October and get into a healthier way of life. I'm not saying that everybody has to quit drinking. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying that for the people that do, this is our slice of heaven. You can have yours, this is ours. And when
Beautiful.
I see people wear my t-shirt or my hoodie and you know, uh, I have so many Hollywood types that actors that are so the Zarian brothers, God bless them, that wear my hoodies all over and spread this message of
Beautiful.
sobriety. And I have people from all over the world. I have a woman that just bought a T-shirt, and she stopped drinking at 78, and she'll be
Wow.
80 next month. And she wore my
Wow.
T-shirt, and she said, the T-shirt is not a T-shirt. It gave me back my sense of pride. And I thought,
Beautiful.
wow, and
Beautiful.
our merchandise is, it's not to make money. It's really to give back to the mental health community, because I
Beautiful.
do believe that mental health and addiction go hand in hand.
Yes, ma'am.
The healing, the whatever everybody needs to get through, and most people do need some sort of way to love themselves just that much more.
Yes. Yes.
And so we give back part of the proceeds to that. And if somebody puts on my t-shirt and feels like they're, you know, and they think they're cool, like that grandmother that wore it at Christmas, her grandkids thought she was the bomb. They thought that to
Love it.
wear a sober is the new cool black t-shirt at Christmas at almost 80 years old, that she was fabulous. And some nights, I got to tell you, I can't even sleep when I see people wearing my stuff. And then I have other people in California. And let's face it, our world needs these movie stars to help us out, because
Yep.
when they talk about
Yep.
it,
Yep.
Cameron Matheson from he's also, and Bobby Graham, in California, they all wear
Wow.
my merchandise. And,
Beautiful.
the world sees that, and then
Yes.
they kind of go, yeah, we are cool, right?
Yep.
But we are cool also, not
Yeah.
just them, but they help us spread it a little bit faster and
Absolutely.
sprinkle our message, which I adore them
That's
for.
right.
Adore them for.
Absolutely. And I, I think that it probably takes a lot of courage for people in their industry as well to
Yes.
stand up and say,
Mhm.
that I'm living a sober lifestyle, that I'm living a healthier lifestyle. And I think what, from this moment forward, I mean, it's more solidified now than ever. What sober is the new cool represents to me is just that you are an ambassador of hope, that every sober is the new cool, shirt or hoodie that goes out is just a ray of hope
Yeah.
to bring to people, to say that, it's a different time. It's a different time. And how wonderful it is to be a part of such a huge change in the world, just changing the way the world recovers. Oh gosh. Oh, I just love you even more. Like, I just love, 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 love you. I'm so grateful to have you as a part of my sober tribe, my soul tribe, really. So Kim, tell me this. What inspires you? I know hope and people, basically you said what really inspires you, but in like most specific terms possible, answer me what inspires you and who inspires you today.
Well, I could fill a football field with people that inspire me in our
I bet.
community.
I bet.
But I have to say, the Gregory Zarian and Lawrence Zarian introduced me to a group just lately called Free to Love, Love,
Mm,
Free to Love. And it's just an organization about young people and being able to, you know, be who they are, and kindness. That kindness is huge for me, and connection. And there's a woman in New York City that has something called Big Vision.
mm,
Whenever she speaks, Eva, I just stop and I think I have to be a better person. There's a woman, Dawn Nichols from She Recovers, that her and her daughter were addicts, and they've built this
wow,
phenomenal foundation for women.
beautiful.
I mean, there's podcasts. There's Chris Nell, Carmel Pelly that started with me years ago. Like, there's so many people, and I'm probably forgetting. And my sweet Natty, aka Sober Badger, and my Kelly Marie, and there's so many young women and men. The Not So Anonymous podcast. There are 5 young guys out of Arizona that are very cool. And for young guys that are in addiction, they talk their talk. So I
That's
love
amazing.
them. And I mean, the list is just unbelievable. There's the Chef Recovery, the Recovery Couple. There's so many people that I mean, it just, and I know I'm forgetting a whole bunch of people, but there's just, for me, anybody that's into kindness and giving back and really, really supporting everybody and anybody for who and what they are, because we all have our own qualities.
Yes,
And that's what makes us unique. And the world
absolutely.
needs every single one of us. That's what I
Absolutely.
believe. I truly, truly believe that. And I really feel that I'm the lucky one doing what I do.
Mm. And that's so, like, I know that that's completely authentic for you, because I feel that, there's a difference in when we say, something, and the difference in when we really feel it. And I really feel that your energy is completely about that. And I'm honored to know you. And it's been, over the past 4 years that I've been doing this podcast, or starting with Hope and Recovery Network. you know the resources I have watched just grow over these past 4 years, just in this recovery journey. In starting it, because I wasn't did not do 12 steps programs, so I
Yeah.
felt like I white knuckled through a whole lot of time. And I wanted to make it easier. I felt like it was harder than it had to be, and there had to be more. And so I didn't see anyone that was LGBTQ plus, representing out on the social media platform for recovery. And because that is such a large issue, addiction is a large issue in our communities, because of the trauma that we face, because of being, you know just oppressed. And even though that's getting better, it's still not great. We need allies, and we need more people to stand up and share their authentic truth, and their stories, and their gifts. Because you're right, it's so funny that for so long we spent time in this mentality of everybody should be the same, even though we were so blatantly created so unique. And it's hard for me to even be in the world and see how we could have ever lived trying to all be alike,
Yeah.
when we weren't designed that way. We
Yeah.
weren't designed that way. And the stifling of that uniqueness is what brings so many of us into escaping and covering up pain through addiction, or habits of any kind. We just escape that pain because that's our uniqueness trying to get out. And so to shove it back down, we drink it down, we drug it down, we sex or gamble it down,
Yeah. Yeah.
we beat ourselves up, to keep it down. But now we're in a place that it's time. Uniqueness is time to shine through and stand true. And oh, I'm so grateful to know you. So, talk to us now about, how do people get in touch with you? What is the platforms that you have? And a lot's in the description. um but I know that we had sober is the new cool.ca.
Yes, exactly. And we have our Instagram, which is sober, period, is, period, the, period, cool. So sober is the new cool. And then on Facebook, it's just sober is the new cool. On Twitter, it's sober.itnc@gmail.com. And you can go on our website, soberisthenewcool.ca. You can write us a little, people will send me messengers. They will send me direct messages on Instagram. And we answer as many as I can. And I will get back to you, I promise. So far, so good. I think we're doing a pretty good job here. And we are here. And we really want everyone to know that really they're priceless, and we need their uniqueness in this world, because without them the world just won't go round and round, right?
That's the
So
truth. That's
yeah.
so true. That's so true. And all of that is in the description box, everyone. And to show your recovery and to show your support for someone in
Yes.
recovery, you can buy Sober is the New Cool merchandise at can they buy that at .ca or
Yes, yes,
.org? At
yeah,
.ca
both,
too?
on
Okay,
both. And
great.
also the proceeds do go to a mental health facility called the Douglas Foundation that does tremendous work across, people, 10,000 people minimum go through their doors in a year. And we are, Sober's the New Cool is in the process of becoming a charity because some people want to give to other things. So we can help young mothers that are struggling sometimes even to buy groceries
Yes.
or to get through their, if they need a little bit extra help or whatever. So we're just waiting for the final stamp of approval. So we are on our way to help more people. And, all I can say is thank you for having me and
Oh,
for letting me talk about. I get a little crazy and I talk a little too much,
no, I
I
love
know,
it.
but I'm
No,
passionate about what I do. And I really feel that, I am the lucky one.
I completely, I completely mirror that. You have I could go on and on with this thing for hours. I think we could talk for hours about all of this, and I do really want to commend you because there are not enough resources in this country and likely around the world for women in recovery. I think that a lot of young women and women in, of all ages stay in abusive
Yes.
situations longer than they have to because there are not enough resources for our women, and not to leave our men out,
No, no, no,
but
no.
to focus on our women and women with children. And that's a big passion. How do we invite people to get clean, sober, and in recovery when they don't have resources that meet their basic needs? So anything and everything that I can do to help that, I'm there. So if I can do anything to help, please, you guys go and get the Sober is a New Cool merchandise. Let's help women, get all of the resources they need. Kim, it's been an absolute honor getting to meet you, finally connect with you. I look forward to building a friendship with you. This has been just an amazing introduction to how just outstanding you are in the world. And thank you for being a presence in my life and all you do for everyone. And before we leave, tell us how your son is.
My
The
son will
gift.
be 4 years seizure free on January 24th. So we are very happy. But I will say one thing before I go to all the
Mhm.
men that are out there. You can send us a line. I have so many resources because some people like AA, some people like a coach, some people like, I've got tons of places to send men to, or I'm
Beautiful.
happy to help with them. But I do help anybody and everybody. I don't care how young you are or how old you are. I promise I will do my best.
You
And
are a
thank you.
safe
Thank
space.
you for
You
having
are
me.
you are a safe space. So everyone who's watched this now, make sure that you get all of Kim's information down in the description box. For all of you that will watch this later, again, it doesn't matter if it's tomorrow or a year or 3 years from now when you see this episode. I have no doubt in my mind that Sober is still going to be the new
Oh,
cool
yes.
with Kim Bellis, and you can reach out to her. So please make sure you do that. And as a gift to our listeners, you so graciously brought up hypnotherapy. My good friend Pamela Topchian, Breakthrough Hypnotherapy, is giving the Recovery Soul Food listeners a free full hypnotherapy session. So if you haven't tried hypnotherapy at all and you're looking to, find out if it's right for you, then make sure that you contact hypnobreakthrough.com and tell Miss Pamela that Recovery Soul Food, Kim Bellis, and LC sent you, and she is going to give you an amazing gift of a full session. So I'm grateful that you brought that up. It's been beautiful. Kim, you're in my heart, my friend. You're in my heart, and I look
You
forward to working with you more.
absolutely. And I'm going to send people your way, I promise, because a lot of people need you to know that they are not alone and
Thank
that
you.
they matter and there is hope and it's going to be okay.
Thank you so much. We're going to make a great team. All right, everybody. Make sure that you go and find Kim in every spot there is. And we will see you all next week, live Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And join me and Pamela Topjian tomorrow night for the Transgender Mentor live at 8 p.m. right there on YouTube, Facebook. And we'll see y'all next time. Bye, everybody.